a risk there?
That could tear my retina.
And how long is that supposed to be?
It does say that?
I call this meeting to order for Tuesday, May 27, 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Susan Payne.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sharon McDonald.
Here.
Commissioner Crystal Guthrie.
Here.
Commissioner Stephen Burnett.
Here.
Commissioner Warren Robinson.
Here.
Commissioner Josh Reardon.
Here.
Commissioner Mark Tapley.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Rachel. We are going to begin with the invocation given by Pastor Justin Christman of the Worship Center. I started to say First Assembly. That is a blast from the past. The Worship Center, followed by the pledge led by Commissioner Burnett. If you'll stand, please.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you first of all for this day and all the blessings that you've brought for us today. We pray for the leadership. We pray for our men and women that are police officers and firefighters. And Lord, we pray for your direction and your guidance in these proceedings as we look to you for all kinds of wisdom and direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please follow us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. In case nobody noticed, it's nice and bright in here today. I was telling them they should replace those lights with heat lamps. It would be perfect. So anyway. Okay, moving on. We're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay, well, hold on. A motion from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald, second from Commissioner Robinson. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 7-0. We're going to move on to public comment. I have nobody signed up for public comment. We did take the list a few minutes early, but I did not have anybody signed up. We're all good? We're good. Okay. So we're going to move on to, the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Commission. I just have a couple of things. I just want to, first of all, introduce Daryl. He's here. I know I've been talking about him for it feels like a month, but he's here. He comes from Tinker Air Force Base, and we're happy to have him join us. This will be Ashley's last meeting with us, and it's kind of like the changing of the guard, but with lawyers.
What's wrong with them? They're smiling.
We'll fix that.
Oh, good.
Also, I just am so happy to announce that our patching is caught up for everything that we know. And so we're going to start putting blitzes out there for them to start calling them in, because we know what we know, but we don't know what we don't know. So we'll start hitting social media and putting things out there to report all the potholes and patches. As also the sinkhole on First and New York, I'm sure you all have seen it. They will probably be complete within 2 weeks. We know for sure that they'll be complete. I think they're going to call and maybe start tomorrow. Yeah. And then, of course, everybody's favorite 10th and Washington, they're starting on Monday. We have got the okay from a structural engineer to put a patch on it, a temporary patch. And so they will start that on June 2nd, and it should be open by July 19th. And that's all I got.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to remarks and inquiries by the City Commission. Does anybody have anything? Commissioner Tapley.
Yes. Stephanie, I just had a lot of people asking me about sprinklers at the golf course, that they don't appear to be turned on, or
The sprinklers at the golf course are turned on?
that they're not being turned on.
Okay, I didn't, is it because on all of
Like
them, back
just
9?
around- Just around the greens and.
Okay.
I mean, concerned people,
Okay,
just may want to check into that too. I know the back is,
The-
the
under
irrigation's
construction.
tore it back there. I totally understand that, but,
okay, I'll check on it.
okay. Thanks.
Is there anything else? Okay. We are going to move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want removed from the consent agenda?
3 and 5.
What is it?
3 and 5.
3 and 5? Okay. Anybody else? All right. Do I have a motion to approve 1, 2, and 4 on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Burnett. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Tapley. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 7-0. We're going to move on to item 3 that was removed from the consent agenda. Consider and act upon resolution 2025-15 to restrict sale and use of fireworks through July 31st, 2025 due to extreme dry conditions. And Chief Ramirez, or do you have any questions about that?
No,
or-
I just pulled it so I can vote no.
Okay. Okay.
I think people should be able to exercise the 4th of July, and it's dry every year. Been that way my entire life, so.
Okay. Does anybody want to hear from our fire chief?
Yes.
Okay. Chief Ramirez, could you come up, please?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Dr. Stephanie Hernandez, esteemed colleagues and public. Thank you for being here tonight. I'll stand for questions at this moment. So the restriction for one of them is actually the fires that happened over this weekend in our neighboring city in the village of Ruidoso and into Lincoln County. They had the big wildland fire that was in the Fort Stanton area and actually burned almost 250 acres plus. They were able to get containment on it. Still has no determination of where that fire or how it started, but it is the Memorial Day weekend, so it could have started from campfires, cigarettes, hikers, anything like that of that nature. We haven't had the moisture or anything like what we're looking to have possibly tonight, but that's why the restriction of sale of fireworks. On top of that, in Lincoln County, in Ruidoso, as of yesterday, they had a wildland fire breakout just up in the Upper Canyon area, which was heavily devastated from last summer's fires and then the flooding that ensued shortly thereafter. So they were able to get a quick handle on that one as well with air operations that have been running pretty much since Saturday afternoon. And then right up above the end of the Mountain Gods, they had another fire, which is on the Mescalero Apache Reservation. They too were able to get a hold of that with the help of air assets on that as well. Not saying that we don't have that type of topography here in the city of Alamogordo, but who's to say that we have folks come out on 4th of July, light fireworks. We could have a devastating fire that turns from a brush fire into a wildland fire and just devastates the area. So that's why the restriction of fireworks and the not fireworks for the 4th of July has been asked for that to be passed again this year because of the drought. Now, from weeks to come, right before the 4th of July, we still have another month, the month of June. If we were to get an early monsoon season and give heavily saturation, I don't see why that ban would not be lifted at that moment. But until we see that, I see that we keep it with the restrictions of no fireworks, no sale of fireworks, and no fireworks on the 4th of July.
Okay, and if I remember last year, I thought we just said no aerials.
Last year, we followed what the county had.
Correct.
Exactly what the county had, and so this follows exactly what the county does as well. The problem with last year is because the county's resolution, it talks about the county except for incorporated municipalities. There was a lot of problems within the city, so we basically are doing the exact same thing that the county has already passed. I think they passed it last couple weeks ago, but for the city because we're incorporated.
Okay, so the county has banned them as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I feel better about that. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
Do we have anything for an alternative for the 4th of July?
Are we planning on
I'm
banning?
assuming we're doing the drone show, right?
Yes, so
No, we
Jerry and I had spoke probably earlier in the year that we were getting fires earlier and that we had severe drought. We didn't have much of a monsoon season. We didn't have much of a snow or winter, so we had talked about it. We spoke with Chief Cunihero. We're doing a drone show. We're going to go ahead and do a drone show. I believe it's in the same spot where we would do our normal fireworks show. But this year is going to be a drone show for the city of Alamogordo.
So is that normal spot, you mean like up by
I'm
the
sorry.
college?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because we didn't do that. Wasn't it somewhere else last year?
We didn't do a fireworks show at all last year.
There was some kind of a drone thing.
We
that
did the drone show for the Veterans Day.
For the what?
Veterans Day in the middle of town. I think it was.
Sorry, Commissioner Guthrie, I got it wrong. I knew it was one of those days. Sorry.
Yeah, it was Veterans Day at Alameda Park.
Okay, yeah. Well, I got the Alameda Park right. I got the holiday wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. All right. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? No? Okay.
I do, I actually have one.
Yes, Commissioner Tapley.
Can we hold off on the sale maybe a couple weeks and kind of see what the weather does? I mean, wouldn't that make more sense?
Well, it's still dry right now. That's why we've tried to do it as soon as possible, and it's still dry.
Yeah.
And so if it, like Chief Ramirez said, if we get a lot of rain, the chief can lift it at any time.
So we could bring it back and reverse it.
The resolution gives so we don't have to bring it back, so let's say.
Oh,
we
gotcha,
get,
gotcha. Yeah.
That the chief can lift it if
Okay.
the rains come in and
I
it gets
got it.
moisture in the air.
Yeah.
So if he did lift it, we would be able to have the regular fireworks show if that.
Not the fireworks show that the city does because we've already contracted with the drones, but the citizens could do fireworks in the
So
city.
that's already been decided regardless.
Typically, in the past years that we did it, how many fires actually started from fireworks?
On the fireworks show,
From the fireworks show. I know y'all saturate that area pretty good with water down below where they shoot off, but
yes, sir. So the saturation, Commissioner, that was actually at the highest point of the college when they used to allow us to use that science parking lot. We would have to saturate the area or the building because they didn't want the embers catching that new roof that was applied on all the buildings. Once we had a new location right off the right-hand side of Highway 2001, we didn't have to do the saturation anymore. But we have had multiple brush fires and structure fires from fireworks, especially on that night. I bring in 2 additional crews to support the city and all the fires that happen, both brush fire and structure fires, from fireworks during that evening.
started by the main show up there, or they started from individuals?
They have both. They have been started by individuals who sneak off out into the desert area, which is BLM property or Otero County property, and then also from the fireworks show from the fallout that falls right off of Highway 2001 into that brush area. So that's why we have mandated and have asked for county personnel, U.S. Forestry to support our mission out there. But again, we still are short with the fires that happen out there, both due to the show and due to individuals by themselves.
How many citations did we write last year when they were banned? Do we know?
I can get those numbers for you for the past 3 years. I have them. They get hundreds of calls and hundreds of.
That's kind of my thing here is we may pass this, but it's almost unenforceable, I hate for lack of a better word, but because last year, I don't know if any of y'all were here, but they were going off all over town. And I mean, I understand the intent.
Last year, we were going through the county and the county lifted it. We were abiding by the county, so the city didn't have one. in place last year.
I thought we did last year.
Mm-mm,
It
no,
was
sir.
just, it was just the 4th
It
of
was the
July
4th
show,
of July
right?
show
Yeah,
that we banned,
yeah.
that we stopped.
Correct.
Okay. Like I say, I just, you know, I mean, it's enforceable if we can catch them, but, you know, it's difficult. So that's kind of why it's like they're celebrating their independence from a tyrannical government, but the government's telling us we can't do it. So, but that's just kind of the way I look at it. And I mean, I understand the public safety side of it, but, I mean, I've been here my whole life. They've shot that show off every year up until, what, the last year? I think we skipped 1 year. They did it over at the Griggs Field. Did we have any fires when it was shot off over there?
We did, and that was actually on the county because most of those embers fell on Hang Glider Park and those to the northeast, which
Over
is
in
county property.
That area over there?
Yes, sir. So the county was actually on response for that, 4 brush fires that evening as well.
I don't know. I just
And
kind of,
unfortunately, like throughout the country, people are moving towards drone shows. If, we spoke to lots of people. The big fireworks shows are becoming less and less, and drone shows are becoming more and more. So we said, we'll try it this year, see how it works out, and then reevaluate next year, so.
Can I ask who makes that call, the drone show versus the regular fireworks, and when that's decision's made?
So we have to start planning that pretty quickly. So it's that the city manager makes the decision. And we started planning, I think, in January. So that's
Okay.
usually when it, because we have to, whether it's a fireworks or a drone show, we have to get them booked pretty quickly or we're not going to get anything. So that's why we have to kind of like make a quick decision
Gotcha.
on.
Okay,
so the drone show's pretty much already booked and the fireworks aren't?
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we would have had to go out for RFP for the fireworks. And so just like I said, we met with the dry conditions. We decided let's try a drone show this time and then reevaluate next year.
How much does the drone show cost?
45,000? 55? 55? 60? Okay.
What did the fireworks typically run us, about 50? So the fireworks are cheaper?
Fireworks are cheaper, but they're more expensive with all the personnel that comes out there. Now we don't have to have it blocked off and the personnel and the fire department and all the fire departments, not just our fire department. So, 6 in one, half a dozen in another. Like I said, we were trying it this year, see how it works out.
Is there going to be an event? Is the Space Center still going to, I know Johnny asks me every time I see him. So.
I'm not sure I think they're still going to do a viewing party up there, if I understand correctly, yeah.
But we're not doing anything?
No.
Okay.
They are allowing a tailgate party to be conducted this year for the members of the Space Hall organization.
So that's just business as usual? for
Yes,
them?
ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Just one last thing.
Yes.
So the county has already put this restriction in place?
Yes.
So if they lift theirs, we're going to follow riding behind them? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, it kind of depends, right? Because the county has a bigger area and
Right.
maybe up in the mountains, they get a ton of rain, but in the city of Alamogordo, we haven't. So we're going to depend on, it really comes down to the moisture and the rain that we get.
So last year, the OES chief lifted the ban right around the 4th of July, which could have permitted a more devastating wildfire season up there. We will follow suit depending if the moisture is significant enough. But right now, as a city, we'll stand until the moisture comes in, even if the county lifts theirs prior to the 4th of July.
Technically, if the county has one passed, how come it doesn't in, we're in Otero County in Alamogordo? How come
Because they say all areas in Otero County except incorporated municipalities.
Is that what, okay, fireworks in the unincorporated areas?
Interesting.
So basically what they sell at Walmart will technically still be allowed?
We have not gone in there yet, Commissioner,
Is it-
to actually
it says
look
ground,
to see,
ground and handheld sparkling devices, which those are kind of boring, but,
which in years
basically-
past, it was basically sparklers.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
And then like the tanks and the little cones or the, whatever they call those, that just shoot sparks up, but they don't go very high. So technically, are those allowed?
No, sir, because according to the way it's written, it's all fireworks.
Well, the
It
ground
says
ones
here
are allowed.
only- It says only ground and
Yeah.
handheld sparkling
They have,
devices.
those are allowed. Those are allowed as long as they're in a paved area and not on the grass. Has to be clear of debris, I think that's what it says.
Because the fight that we fight as the department coming in is the big, I believe it's Mr. W's. It's right on the border of Otero County and the Texas line, state line. They sell all different types of fireworks. Now, folks from here, from all over, will go down and buy those fireworks. They bring them right back into the city and they launch them.
They sold them here last year.
Yeah.
And that's, we're trying to catch that, to put a limit on that, to stop it.
They're sold in Otero County, not in the city limits.
Correct. And that's the problem. They bring them in, even though restrictions are in place, and they still launch them and fire them. And then when they land on somebody's house and somebody's house burns down, then all they do is say, well, I'm sorry. Or that business says, well, once they're sold, they're sold. I have no authority over
That's
that.
kind of where I have the, it's almost, it's enforceable if we catch them, but it's almost unenforceable.
Correct.
Because it's difficult, because it takes 3 seconds for it to go off, and then you got to go figure out where they're at.
And that is the hard part throughout the night. We do depend highly on PD to help us, especially up in that forested area or the brush area right off 2001, because folks will get back in there with their UTVs, and from that higher point, we can actually see where they're launching fireworks or they're having a little bonfire or a barbecue pit or something out there. So we'll try to get law enforcement out there, and before they can get to them, they basically pack up everything and leave, so it's hard to catch them. And then down the road in the west end of the city, we'll have another brush fire from somebody starting something over there. Of course, we show up there, mitigate the hazard, and then at that point, nobody seems to know what happened or who started it or where it came from.
Chief?
His favorite thing to do is chase fireworks. He just said that.
I know. I could see the look, I could see the look on his face.
So the stands that are gonna be selling, you guys aren't gonna allow them to sell, in other words?
Those are usually in the county, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's one or two
Yeah, and there's,
that typically, but they don't sell the aerial ones.
Correct.
So they'll still be able to open.
Walmart sells the sparklers and the smaller
And the
ones.
cones, yeah, they have their little
Yes, sir.
packs. So the ones in the city limits that don't sell any of the aerial stuff will still be able to sell.
Right,
and
because
open.
it's following that suit of ground type fireworks.
But the ones in the county, even if they open and they sell it to us and they bring it into the city limits, I mean, how do you stop that?
Like
That's
all
the hard-
laws, we just have to do our best to try and put these out there and give the police the tools to try and do their job.
So what do you think
I think lots of things, but,
about this particular
so
subject?
it's, the ordinance talks about the sale or possession of it. So every 4th of July, we see thousands of fireworks all over the city, and we don't catch most of them, right? Like you stated, they go up. By the time we figure out where they might have come from, nobody knows what happened, right? So we're just chasing fireworks all over the place.
I'm guilty.
Meaning it's not really enforced. We're not going to have a lot of citations or arrest from them just because we don't catch them. It's very hard to enforce.
But if you were to catch them,
Basically get a ticket, right? And that's it.
Then the officer has the discretion on whether or not they're going to cite
I
them.
knew you were going to say that.
Or not.
I totally knew he was going to say, I knew this. Okay.
Is a ticket more warranted if there's alcohol involved, or? I'm just asking.
just the recklessness.
I'm not going to answer that.
Like I say, I'm kind of torn on this one. I understand y'all's side of it, the public safety side of it, but on the other side of it, it's like, you guys, it's the one day a year that people celebrate the independence of the country, and, well, I know it goes on a little longer than one day, but kind of torn on it.
Well, I mean, I would hope that celebrating our independence wouldn't depend on fireworks. However, what I will say is, where I'm teetering is the difference between a ground firework and an aerial firework, because I do think aerial fireworks should be banned. I have no issue with that at all.
Those things are pretty cool.
But, well, they may be cool until they land on somebody's roof. My roof is metal, so I don't worry about it as much, but, well, the house I live in, but the house I own next door is not. It's a shingle roof, and so yes, I do worry about that kind of thing because for two reasons. Number one, it can catch fire, and number two, as you so eloquently stated, we can't even prove who did it. So somebody could literally burn down my house, and I can't even prove who did it. And so is it being a tyrannical government to ban it, or is it being a responsible government to say at least no aerials in the city unless the weather changes? Because it's true, we didn't even have a winter. I mean, it's kind of a joke right now.
So
honestly,
to be-
but I mean, but it is true. So I do teeter. I don't.
How many
not sure.
actual structure fires did we have last year, do you know offhand?
I will get that number for you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just was curious, I mean, I know we have little brush fires here and there. Most of the time it's because somebody's being irresponsible, or firework falls over and, can't say I haven't done that once or twice. But, we were usually run over and put it out before y'all get there.
That Commissioner's
So-
address.
I know it.
You were going to say something?
Just to be clear, the current ordinance right now, an aerial is considered anything over, that goes over 10 feet.
Yes.
Those are illegal right now,
Anyway.
as we speak at any point.
So
And-
basically the ban, they're already illegal per the ordinance, correct?
Correct. Well,
So-
if you're talking about an aerial, which is described in ordinance as
Anything over,
something.
what, 15 feet?
10 feet.
10 feet.
And then anything louder than a cap gun is technically illegal, and so there's fountains that throw out bursts of
They do.
fireworks that are pretty loud too. So it's already described, there's a definition of what fireworks are in the ordinance.
Previous question, can we vote?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are you making a motion?
Please.
Okay. Where are we at? Number 3. So your motion is to restrict the sale. Do you want to make the motion?
Consider and act upon Resolution 202515 to restrict the sale and use of fireworks through July 31st, 2025 due to extreme dry conditions.
And you're making a motion.
I'm
So I have a
making a
motion.
motion.
I have a motion from,
Is his motion to approve or disapprove?
motion to approve,
To
right?
approve.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion from Commissioner Robinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 4-3. Okay?
Thank you.
And we're going to move on to item 5, I believe it was. Consider an act upon approval of change order 2 in the amount of $605,627.55, excluding Mexico GRT to Crosstown Construction and Trucking to add additional concrete work, asphalt striping, and PHB, all within the scope of work. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
If I don't read it, then I get comments of, we don't know what it said, so that's why I read it.
Good evening. So I pretty much left everything in there for you guys to read. I just stand here for questions.
I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear what you said. Sorry.
So I stand here for questions. I give you guys all the information on the.
So this is
I was
the
just-
one that he brought back, he talked to you about 2 meetings ago?
Yes, so 2 meetings ago, I brought to your guys' attention about another change order for downtown, which was the striping and the arm bar for the PHB beacon, which was the crosswalk on 10th Street. This is that change order. that I
We
mentioned
didn't have
before.
striping included in the original bid?
So because of the traffic study, like I was saying on the last meeting, the traffic study involved everything that's on this change order. So because that traffic study is completed, now we're able to know exactly how to go from 10th Street to 12th, from White Sands to Michigan, because it's going to be a one-way now. So that's what this is.
So we didn't have that study done prior to us bidding this project?
No, this project was actually designed before I even got here.
Okay.
And because of the grant being close to being terminated because it was never put out, I had no choice but to put it out and continue with the traffic study.
Is this money part of grant money, or is this coming out of our
This will be coming out of Fund 109.
109 money?
Mm-hmm.
How much, all of it will come out of 109?
Yes.
Okay, plus that previous change order will come out of 109 as well? or-
No, the previous change order was 109 and 81, because that had,
Because of the
that
water
was the water
side,
line,
the
yeah.
water side of it, okay.
Yeah, because that had to,
I
that
just-
was an AC line,
You know,
so.
when this bid went out, we had that $2 million discrepancy between the two.
Right, and, we're still below that $5.2 million.
Do we anticipate any additional change?
No, so I figured you might have asked that because, it's a good question, but so far, the contractor actually demoed everything they needed to, and we did not find anything else wrong with downtown when they demoed. So they already got base course in, all the way up to 8th Street. Everything has base course, they're putting curb, sidewalk in, and we didn't find anything else that was wrong in the area. So for me to bring another change order would be really rare for this one, so.
So you're saying you won't have any more change orders on the record?
I said it would be rare, so, rare. I can't guarantee you nothing, but.
This is almost $1 million, so,
Yeah.
it's,
And trust me, like on my other projects, I'm making sure that I try not to come up here with change orders. But like I said, because this was a project that was sitting around for 2 years, 3 years, there's a lot of things that should have been involved. But because of that grant going away, I had no choice but to put it out for bid.
What's the estimated date to start the paving on the north side of New York?
So if this gets approved, we're trying to make sure that all the striping's done with the paving, because I don't want to open up that road at all until the striping's completed. Because trying to open it up while they're trying to stripe still, people trying to go down southbound on New York will cause problems.
I think he asked about the north.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, the north side of it.
Okay.
So that's what the striping is. The striping is to prevent, and that's part of this as well. So I don't know if you saw in the background where it talks about the percentage change. So right now on the design, in about 14 feet, it drops about over a foot. So the percentage is really high in 14 feet. So on this, I'm trying to get it pushed back another 35 feet to get at least a 1.4%. Trying to transition a lot better from, because where it originally is, it literally would be in 14 feet, it would just be a drop.
On the north side?
Yeah. I did ask the engineer what happened with that. He said that the city approved that's what they wanted when they designed it. So that's why I'm trying to change it now, because that would be a big problem to have just a drop.
Coming off of 10th Street onto New York, it was that big of a drop?
Yeah, so right where they did the bump outs, it would be, in 14 feet, it would be a foot difference of elevation in 14 feet.
On the south side, or the north?
On the north side, in front of the courts. So that's why I put in here the percentages on that, so everybody could kind of get a better grasp of exactly how much of change it is.
You have a drawing of it in here?
It should be,
I saw one. Let me see if I can find it.
it's in one of the drawings. I have quite a few drawings on here to show you the striping and everything else.
Yeah, I'm just trying to visualize. I don't remember there being any kind of a bump right there. I don't.
Well, so when they design, a lot of times, even on another project that I know that I built, there was a foot discrepancy. So, it happens sometimes.
Let's see if it's this page.
But the asphalt was higher than the curb. We'll just put it that way. Like in
Is
14
that the
feet.
issue down there? The road will be higher than the back
On
of
the
curb?
north side, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And with the striping, there's handicap on that spot. So having handicap on a high percentage of the slope, it would be impossible to make it ADA. So.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any more questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve item 5?
So
Should
moved.
After her second, I'll second it, but I got one more question. That drive pad, that 40 or 54 yards of concrete, what is that?
What's that?
It says it says there's a drive pad for the alley pad removal. And it
Yes.
says we're gonna pour back, almost 60 yards, 54 yards of concrete back there? What is that? Is that just in that alleyway coming off of 9th Street?
That would be the alleyway that, on the 10th Street side?
Coming off of 10th into that alley behind the,
Yeah, so there's
Biggest
that, and then also there's additional concrete work that's going to be done for the arm bars because you have to have your ADA.
uh-huh,
So it'll show on right in front of the pool hall.
okay.
I did add a little bit extra for additional sidewalk right there because to be honest, I don't like to do half work. So you have their ADA, and then you have the new sidewalk in front of it, but then you have all this broken concrete of sidewalk around it. So I did add additional concrete to fix those sidewalks as well in front of that building.
In front of the pool hall?
Yes, so that way
On
it's
the
all new sidewalk.
10th Street side or on the New York
10th
side?
Street side.
On the 10th Street.
It's already there on the New York side, but
Already
10th Street was like new concrete, old, new. I'd just rather
How
have it
far-
all ADA and completed.
How far down 10th Street will it go?
Just up to that light pole right there. That's,
Cool,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay, let's try that again. Do I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald? Yes. And a second from Commissioner Reardon?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 7-0. We're going to move on to item 6, consider and act upon case M-2025-0001 to remove the condition that was placed on the address known as 1115 Alaska. Stella Rael, our city planner, has some information for us.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Rachel's going to help me maneuver this slideshow. Yes, so what I'm bringing in front of you this evening, as you mentioned, is to remove the condition that was placed on this parcel. Next, Rachel, please. Okay, so this address is known as 1115 Alaska Avenue, and it's owned by the Worship Center. Next. Just to give you an idea of where it's at, the old Otero Federal Credit Union that was there on 10th Street. From the days that I worked there, I believe the address was 823 10th Street. That was a long time ago. So that arrow is pointing to the parcel that we're removing or requesting to remove that condition. That condition was placed on there by commission, and the condition was that it was only to be used for bank purposes. Worship Center has owned that property probably about 15 years. And so we're needing to remove that mainly for insurance purposes. So it's pretty cut and dry. So I am open for questions, but staff is recommending approval since this request will not be materially detrimental to surrounding property owners or the public. And I'm open for questions.
So it's
It's
Florida
north.
and then Alaska.
Okay, so you've got Otero Federal, or the old Otero Federal,
That's the
right at the
offices.
corner of 10th and Alaska. It's right behind. Remember, they used to use it as a parking lot? It's like right behind where the drive-through was.
Okay.
In that area,
I gotcha.
yeah.
I don't know why that never clicked with me that it was Alaska, but anyway.
Yeah, that's all.
Did it say in the file why they had a restriction on that?
No, it was just when it was rezoned, it was just,
Because that actually used to be a lady's house.
It was-
The lady's name was Elvira, where that house is sitting. I used to deliver newspapers when I was a kid right there, so all of that area right there used to be.
They're all-
There was four homes right there.
you're correct. There was 4 homes there, and if I remember correctly, that's where staff used to park.
Maybe she was over one more, but there was 4
Yeah,
houses from
yeah.
12th Street to there. I just was wondering
Right,
why.
all the way to the corner?
Yes,
of-
up to the
yeah,
parking lot of the
11.
old OFCU, so.
Yeah. But no, the file didn't explain. It just indicated that it was to be used for bank purposes only.
So we're just taking the bank restriction off of
We're
it.
just taking that restriction off so that the church can use it for what they need to use it for.
Do I have a motion to approve item 6?
I currently have a contract with the worship center right now. So if anybody has any issue with me voting, I'll abstain. I mean, it's up to you guys.
I mean, I currently run a nonprofit and they support us every year, so I suppose I should abstain too, but I'm
Or at
not
least-
going to,
Or at least
so.
disclose it, you know? I mean, it's not a deal that's gonna make you money or
Yeah, I don't
anything,
think it matters.
but it still needs to be on the record, so if anybody has a problem with me voting, I'll abstain.
Mine's on the record too, but in fairness,
Mine
I'm
does.
usually the tiebreaker, so it doesn't really matter by the time they get to me, so.
Mine does involve money, so like I say, if anybody has an issue.
Move to approve motion.
Thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Reardon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Came from,
A second from Commissioner Guthrie.
the motion was Robinson,
What did I say?
Reardon.
Oh, sorry. I have a motion from Commissioner Robinson and a second from Commissioner Guthrie. I apologize. And
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald,
I'm sorry. I didn't vote.
no.
I thought I had voted.
And motion passes 7-0. And we're going to move on to item 7. Consider and act upon the replat of case S 2025-0008, Alamo Blocks 89, replat A.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me see. I can maneuver this one. Yes, the property owners, Gary and Elsa Trinkle, are requesting that the city approve a replat of Alamo Blocks, Block 89, replat A. The current plat consists of one parcel with a total of 0.874963 acres. The parcel will be subdivided into 4 separate parcels. So per ordinance 1197, a parcel resulting in an increase of more than 2 lots requires city commission approval through the subdivision process. This is located on North Florida, just right before you hit 16th Street. I wish I could enlarge that a little bit, but you all can see it. There's currently, it's one parcel, currently. It's an R1 zoning district, and there's 3 homes on there. So how that happened, I don't know. 3 homes shouldn't have been allowed to be built on one parcel. Okay, but they're there. So the property owners are requesting to split that parcel into 4 lots. And what I have done, I've been working with Baxter from Alamo Taro. We've ensured that the proposed property lines meet all setback requirements per current ordinance. Okay, so there's the 3 lots that have homes, those all meet those setback requirements, side, rear, front. The only thing is, and I can't explain how it happened, but the parcel with the home furthest to the north, when North Florida was realigned, that front setback got a little close there. But
I'm laughing because you're like, and I can't explain how it happened, but I don't understand how it happened.
Well, I can't explain because when I do research and look back in these files,
Right.
nothing's explained. It just happened. So I'm just here to make sure that it doesn't continue to happen that way. But so.
That's a good thing, thank you.
Yeah, so like I said, currently, with this proposed plat, we have ensured that the setbacks are met, that everything is done correctly. So with that being said, the application was filed and all fees were paid, and staff recommends approval since this request will not be materially detrimental to surrounding property owners or the public.
And what are they going to do with it? Do you know? I'm just curious.
So, right, I don't know if the owners intend to sell the parcels with the homes. Baxter, do you have any idea?
It doesn't matter. I was just,
Okay.
because some of them, and that didn't click with me, some of them do
Yeah.
have homes on
Yeah.
them, so.
Yeah, 3 of the lots have homes, and the lot, the furthest to the north, that's closer to 16th Street, that's vacant right now.
And what did we say?
Is he planning on building a home there?
I don't know, not that I've received any plans.
But they're all residential.
Yes, ma'am. So the zoning's staying the same.
Right, so all they
We're just
could do
fixing
is
it.
put some kind of a home there.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Still on that house that's furthest north that's kind of sitting in that setback zone, is that in the zone or is it outside of that setback area?
Let me get the plat real quick.
I was like, it kind of looks like it's right in the middle of that setback. I just want to make sure that it's
That
kind of,
1512, is that what that is?
it's really hard to see.
I think it's 1512. It looks like there's 8, 10, and 12.
Oops.
Yeah. It's because the
So-
street curves around.
Yeah, that one's really close.
It is close, but it's back far enough?
It's
Still probably 20
6.2,
I think it's
6
still-
feet 2 inches.
From the road?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's further.
Right? I'm looking at that correctly, right, Baxter? Yeah. Yeah,
I drive by it every day, I don't know.
Right there.
I think it was, I thought it was like 10
yeah,
or 15 feet.
I'm looking at
back.
that correctly.
So 6.2 feet from the right-of-way, and I would say that house suffered an undue hardship with the right-of-way taking. Don't have a plat for that, but the curvature was purchased. Their deed save and accepts that portion taken by the highway department. So it's hard to say when the house got built, when it did versus the taking, but it is in the setback, to be sure.
So the
It is-
house
it
was
is in the
probably
setback.
there first.
So do we have anything written down that if they were to try to resell this property, that they're kind of exempt from that?
So if they were to resell the property, it would have to be sold as is.
Okay.
Now,
Just wanna make
if
sure
there
they're not
was
gonna-
a fire or they decide to demo it and rebuild,
Then they
then
have to
they
go
would
back.
have to
Okay.
meet that 20-foot front setback.
So as long as they resell it as is, they can keep the setback.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what, a 5-foot setback? That's almost scary to me.
It is scary,
It's not
especially
that
right there at the,
close. How much wider is the right-of-way right there versus the actual road, though? Because your property line may be up in their yard, but the road, it's quite a ways away from the road, if I remember right.
Right, so.
It's like 10 or 15 feet.
So North Florida has that 80-foot right-of-way. It has a curve applied to it.
Uh-huh.
So you have your front setback is shown with the 25 feet, and that's how much you're over with that house.
Yeah, there's enough room to park a car there, because they always park
There's a
it.
car that parks there.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah.
Okay.
It's close, but it's because the right-of-way actually lands out in the middle of their yard, but the road's not actually taking up the whole right-of-way. if that makes
so
sense.
the closest point to that property line is 6.2. It's further on the south side of that property.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Especially the way people drive around here. I'm surprised nobody's ended up in their front yard yet.
but that's one of those things that Baxter and I were
Seriously.
looking for, trying to figure out, that road when North Florida curved like that. What came first, the house or the road,
Great question.
I remember,
And we couldn't find anything.
I remember that intersection being rebuilt like in the early 80s. I remember when I was a little kid, I remember seeing them dig a big old hole right there, so.
And that's what I said to Baxter. I said, I moved here in 1982, and I know it happened right after that.
It was sometime early 80s,
Yeah.
yeah.
But can't
So
explain how.
the emptied lot will have to abide by the setbacks. the
Oh,
current
definitely,
setbacks.
yes.
Okay.
If they build there.
And
it
there's
will-
really enough room to do that?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I
that,
guess so, because it's just under a quarter of an acre, right, each?
that parcel there, the empty one, is like 167 feet deep.
Okay.
So yeah, there's plenty of room.
Okay, do I have, do I have any more questions?
No.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve, what number are we on, 7, item 7?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Burnett, do I have a second?
A second.
A second from Commissioner Tapley, can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 7-0. We're going to move on to item 8, consider and act upon the replat of case S 2025-0005, Wolf replat B, lots 1B through 4B.
I'm just going to stay up here all night, okay?
I think you're done after this one.
I'm done after this one. So this is the same situation, a different area. So the property owner, which is Prime Investments, is requesting that the city approve a replat of Wolf subdivision, replat B, lots 1B through 4B. The current plat consists of one parcel with a total of 1.29 acres. The parcel will be subdivided into 4 separate parcels or lots. Per ordinance, again, 1197, a parcel resulting in an increase of more than 2 lots requires city commission approval through the subdivision process. So all fees were paid and
Is it the 2552 one?
so this is 2595 Holly. I brought it in front of you a few months ago for rezoning because the owner of Prime Investments is looking at putting duplexes within each lot. This is a little different. Let me see, let me explain this one a little bit. So this is the current plat, okay, showing one parcel. All right, so this plat was approved in 2002. Okay, so prior to this, it was, whoops, did I go too far? Oh, right here. In 1999, it was 4 lots. Okay, so it was 4 lots in 1999, that was approved then. And then in 2002, it was turned back to 1 parcel. And now the current owner is wanting to split it up again into 4 parcels. Oops. Oh, no, but- So this one, I as staff am recommending approval of this one for the preliminary plat because it does meet the requirements set forth as far as lot sizes and all. Of course, we will be looking at plans when those come in and all the utility hookups and all. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was out there today and they already have the wet and dry.
Right,
utilities up.
because they can legally start building on it now as it is. But he has figured that if you approve this replat, that the structure he's building now is going to meet all the setback requirements per that first lot. But if it by chance didn't pass tonight, he could still build on there.
Okay, you said he's gonna have like 4, it's gonna be 4.
The plan
lots
is
that are
to
gonna be-
have 2 sets of duplex on each lot. Like what he did up there on, further up Holly. Gosh, you would think I'd remember that. 2405,
Where
I
the other
believe it is.
2 are, the
Yes.
new ones? Okay,
Mhm.
so this is back to the south.
Right, this is just right up the block from the Joy Center.
I don't even.
Okay.
I guess what I was looking at is there's like so much land behind it, and so Is that something that, I said.
Those are behind this 2595 Holly, like to the east, like towards Highway 54? Or further north?
It's going towards, because the Holly Road has, it's right there. I said and when you said easement, but is there anything to do with, the land being locked, just having other people? I mean, if they're developing, surely somebody else would come in there.
Right.
After a while. So would there be a problem with the road? Because there is no road.
Correct. Rachel, can we go back to my slideshow? Let me see if I can show you. Okay. So this is a little hard for me to see, but so you see yeah, that's probably the best way to show you. This is current plat right now. So you're seeing, are you talking about the lots to the east?
Well, this says 1B to 4B, and I didn't see a 1B to 4B. I just saw lot 1A.
Okay,
So that's what I was trying to figure out. I said, how is that? Because the way this is,
I can't see that. Let's see if I can follow you. So the plat that, the way it sits now, are you seeing the slideshow that I'm showing the current plat? Is that what you're looking at? Okay, so that lot there, I can't see what lot number it is, but you see the big parcel, right, at the south end?
That's lot 2A.
2A, is that what it is? Okay.
That's what it says, yes.
So is that the one you're talking about?
I'm looking at the 1A. It says lot 1A. It's right there on the corner. It's right on there.
I'm going
This
to,
is saying it says to replat B, lot 1B to 4B.
So this,
definitely can't see what she's looking at.
that's what she's referring to.
Okay,
So I guess you're referring to the access? How are they getting access to?
Yes,
Is there a road
because
here?
there's if I make this bigger, then it goes off.
That road runs all the way back, because he's already built on this one, right?
correct.
So there's a road on there.
That's what I did.
But if you put 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, how are they going to
So-
access that?
So, okay, maybe
Now-
that's what
now-
she's
That's what she's
trying to ask.
asking.
Yeah.
So if
It's right here.
this
It's just
is
hard to see it.
approved, and I think what you're trying to ask is, if this is approved, how are you going to gain access to the other duplexes that will sit further to the east, right? I think that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Okay, so with this preliminary plat, if approved the way it is, I have asked him for a 50-foot private access easement, and you'll see that on the plat. That will take him all the way to the back.
Okay, and is he going to do the road for that subdivision?
If it's within his property, yes, he is going to have to do that private easement.
So this subdivision is a little bit of an issue.
It's a mess.
Because, is it Holly?
the
that
Joint Center.
We vacated it. There's going to be fire access issues, and the reason it's taken us so long to get here is because truly staff is divided on approving this because of the access. There's no entry, access is just a huge issue. That road, is it Holly? Is it Holly? Is it Holly Road? That is vacated, and it's a dirt road.
Vickery?
Vickery.
Dickory.
Yeah, Vickery, I'm sorry. It's a big mess. I don't know if you, Fire Chief and Justin have been involved in this one too. I don't know if you want any conversations with them. It's been a mess.
So what's happened is in 2002, I mean, on records that I have found, Post Avenue.
It's hard to see, I can't see that.
Post Avenue, you can see, should have ran from across Holly east towards Highway 54.
Okay.
Well, per minutes that I found from 2002, Commission vacated Post Avenue. Also found minutes where they vacated Vickery. So are those landlocked at this point? Yes, definitely.
I mean,
And,
they vacated Post Avenue.
yeah, commission,
Like
when it
literally
came in front of commission, the minutes show that it was vacated, that those streets were vacated.
When was that?
The Post one was in 2002, and Vickery was, I think, like in 98.
And it was never revisited?
Until now, this came up, and I discovered that. So yes, like Stephanie has mentioned, we've gone back and forth, and we're really going to have to do something to have access going up to those lots off of Vickery.
How come if they vacated, is that Vickery? Is that the name of that road?
It doesn't say why they vacated, it just...
But if they vacated it, why is it still on this plat from?
Exactly. They vacated, according to commission minutes, it was vacated at a commission meeting, but there was never a replat to show that.
Okay, so technically it's still there, right?
Uh-huh, go ahead.
I would like to make a suggestion to do an investigation into the legal status of Vickery. I'm not sure that it ever was dedicated as a city road, and so I would suggest that to start with. If you guys want to consider the vacation or access issues, you have a 66-foot wide road that's designed for access off of an original plat from the 1950s, and I haven't seen where it's been dedicated to the city, but I would suggest looking into the status of that for the benefit of all the tracts of the government subdivision number 2, because when that was approved, it wasn't a part of the city limits, and that 66-foot L that goes down the center and then goes to the east was reserved for access on that plat. So there may be a few documents in existence that confirms or denies what has happened with the legal status of that road for the city. So,
And for the record, Rachel, that was Baxter Patillo with
So
Alan
this-
Otero.
This
Just,
right here, right?
Yep.
I know you knew that, but just in case, sorry, I usually ask them to.
Yeah, and Baxter's correct. I mean, we've had a hard time finding anything.
So are they in the county or are they in the city?
No, they're within city limits
And this-
because
so
it
it's
was
gonna be,
annexed in.
District
This side?
But
It's on this side.
Well, I
it's
mean,
a-
I know that in theory they're in the
This-
city, but after
house,
hearing
right?
this, doesn't it make you sort of wonder whether they're actually in the city or not?
95.
When was it annexed into the city?
I don't have the exact date on that.
But for tonight, basically, he's just asking to replat this into 4
Right.
separate lots. And
Right.
you're going to do
And-
a 50-foot easement.
A private easement, yes, to go
Okay, so here's.
from the entrance on Holly all the way to,
Has,
I also want to just kind of make it worth noting that he is putting 2 duplexes on there.
Yeah.
That'll be private sewage, and we're going to run into kind of the same issue that we have on Margarita Loop. If any of y'all know what's going on with Margarita Loop, they have issues with their sewer and water, and it's private, and so the city can't do anything about it. Do you want to talk about Margarita Loop?
Yeah, so Margarita Loop, we have this issue, and I would say at least yearly, I get complaints from my office, into my office, claiming that, like trying to claim tort claims, trying to say that the city's the one that should go in and fix the sewer lines that are in Margarita Loop. The problem is those are
don't own
actually
the
private.
street.
And I have tried reaching out to the subdivider who had initially done that because that whole subdivision is just a complete mess. I can't get a hold of them to enforce anything upon them, and that's one of the fears. As I've actually been in some of the TRC stuff, I've met with Stella, Justin, Dave. We've all been communicating about this subdivision right here because we see the issues. We see the issues of there's landlocked parcels, and we need to try to
So-
fix that. But we're also concerned if we're allowing a developer to put in these private sewer lines, we're going to have the same issues when the developer's no longer there 20, 30 years from now, and they're breaking. It's the city that's going to almost end up having to come in and eventually fixing those. That's one of the things that we've talked about with Margarita Loop. As much as they're private things, I think eventually the
This right
city
here?
is going to have to go in. We're going to have to, it's going to be costly. Dave and I already communicated with that. It's not going to be cheap. But there's nothing else we can kind of do with that situation. And that's one of our fears with this, is having that same issue come up again.
So I understand that's a separate subject,
Right.
and I get it. But when that comes up, is that going to come before us?
So
or-
what's going to happen is going to go to TRC, and so fire will not sign off on it, and neither will utilities department sign
Okay,
off on
good.
it. So that's in TRC, and this is why we hesitated to bring this back, because we know he's going to do a duplex, and we know that this is what his plan is to do. If we approve this tonight, then there's going to be some issues down the road in trying to get this approved to TRC. That's kind of been where we've been on the fence on.
So if we approve this, the technical review committee, but they could still deny it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I remember Margarita Loop very well, and that is just nothing but a train wreck.
So like I first mentioned, as far as the preliminary plat, that,
I get
it
it.
meets all the requirements per
I
ordinance. So
understand.
that's why I'm not speaking for everyone. That's why I am recommending approval. And I mentioned that we would have to look at other things down the road.
Right, and we
So-
can't deny this based on what may happen. I mean, no, I'm not, like, that's a legitimate question.
Commission
Should we
can-
take that into, it's like,
Commission
what?
can approve and deny anything. We're telling you the issues that are there. If you want to approve the zoning of it, just understand you're probably going to be getting the calls because, as I said, fire won't
Okay.
sign off on it because of that. The road conditions won't meet their heaviest apparatus, and then, of course, the private sewer, the sewer and the water lines. So, I mean, it's, again, 6 in one, half a dozen in another.
I know, but what's
So,
been heard cannot be unheard now, and that
Can
really
we-
bothers me.
Can we ask why he doesn't want to tie into public sewer lines? Why he wants to do private?
No, he's not going to do
You want to
what
answer that?
Stephanie is saying.
Justin can answer that exact question, what the issue is, if you want him to come up
Yeah,
and answer.
I'd just like to know what's the, why he's,
Should be
why it is a concern, why it's a decision that's having to be made.
So the major concern that he has is he doesn't want to follow the technical standards when it comes to anything. That's why he wants to have the private drive, so he doesn't have to do the road the way we want it. Same thing with utilities, so.
Are we not, we don't have the capability of producing that road since it was originally something that we had drafted? Why are we requiring
offered
him?
the originals, what it was before, which was 25-foot easement on both sides. But he wanted us to pay for the whole road. He didn't want to do anything that involved technical standards. He wants to build this the quickest and easiest way, which, like she said before, the fire truck will not be able to go on that private drive because if he doesn't build to technical standards and he just builds it how he wants, it's going to be an issue. Same thing with the utility lines. So on that part, if he does this the way he wants it, we'll put a meter on Holly, and then he'll have 4 private lines. And if he sells each property, then it's going to be like what they said about that loop area, to where now if I buy that far east property, now I'm going to have to worry about 3 other properties trying to maintain their portion of the road, their portion of their sewer, their portion of water. So then it becomes, that's what we're saying about the whole loop part. The road part, he just doesn't want to follow technical standards, and that was what was told to us in TRC, so.
Okay, there was no negotiation about splitting the cost of the road?
Splitting costs, no. Because it was an easement before, and right now I don't know how to explain that part legally wise on the splitting part.
So the way that the parcel, so there's another road so the city owns below this subdivision. right?
Correct.
That's city property. And so if you look at the one road so it'd be almost like a 4-way stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
So only part of the road is on his property and part of it would be technically on our property if we wanted to make it straight. And so one of the things that we suggested was that the city would grant an easement on our property, basically so we could put that road in, so that it lines up and we don't have this jagged, weird stuff.
But we're telling him he has to pay for it.
Well, I mean, he was going to pay for it on his own property anyways. I mean, that's how every subdivision is doing it, right? So everybody has to, like when you have a subdivision contract for a developer, they all are doing their own roads, their own curb, their own sidewalk. Even the church was in the process of getting their road done. As you can see, all these other developers, they're doing their own roads, sidewalks, curbs. So I mean, it wouldn't be right to not force him to do the same thing as we're forcing the other developers to do.
Okay.
And that's why, the reason why we're not saying we'll do a 50/50. We already have the easement there. So it's just more of him not wanting to follow the standards.
Okay.
Who currently owns, does he currently own the rest of those, that track 4, 5, 6, 7? Does he own all of that?
No, no,
So he
those are
just-
owned by, those are owned to the north there, track 2, 3, 4. Yeah. No, those
So
are
he
owned
owns-
by,
He owns lot 1A and then the one that he's
And
building on
then-
further south, or
yes.
further north.
that's
Okay.
correct.
'Cause there's
And
a
there's
house-
already a couple of homes within those lots. There's a couple of empty ones, and then there's,
And then the ones.
and
he
then
built.
there's, yeah, a couple of,
And then that lot 2A, is that one we own, the city owns?
2A is, yes. The city owns that, and then the city owns lot 3A.
Okay, where's that? Okay,
That, that's
little
all along,
triangular shape.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Okay. How far away is that what you were asking? Okay. How far away is the sewer service, the city sewer service back there?
Justin, do you know?
Because I know there's a connection at the Joy Center, across the street from the Joy Center. There's a connection there, but does it run up north, up Holly?
Yeah, does it? Because basically he'll have a private line,
On Holly?
he'll have a private line across his easement to Holly, and is that where the main sewer is?
According to Justin, yeah.
I know at the Joy Center across the street, there's a connection there. But if he
Yeah,
doesn't, if
don't
there's not a
utilities.
main that runs up Holly, technically, it's not within 200 feet of a sewer line, he can put septic.
Right. I know that there's a water meter right in front of Lot 1A.
So that means the water extends past it.
So I know there's a water meter there. Sewer, I'm not sure.
Also, I got
Help
a
us,
quick
Baxter.
question. Y'all keep mentioning Margaritaville or whatever it is. Where is it?
Through the loop. Yes, at 5 o'clock.
It's behind the apartments on First Street.
Apartments on,
The apartments, not,
It's the subdivision behind an apartment complex.
yeah, what's the name of those
where at?
apartments?
Up off of First Street. Is it behind Azotea or is it
Oh,
behind?
no.
Okay.
It's,
Is it
it's, it's west of Azotea.
West?
It's actually west of, what's the
Yes.
name of those other apartments, the really nice
Las
ones?
Ventanas.
Las
Las Ventanas.
It's west of Las Ventanas.
It's kind of back behind there.
Is it, it's
That-
an apartment it's that little,
Directly
It looks
south
like-
of Dale Scott.
They actually look like townhomes, I think,
but it's,
but they go all the way back.
it's this side
Directly,
of the cemetery,
directly south of Dale Scott.
south of Dale Scott.
Yeah, south of Dale Scott. And there's the first set of apartments, there's apartments behind it, apartments behind that.
So it's on this side of First Street,
South side.
south?
South of First Street, between Las Ventanas and Azotea.
It's that little group of houses back there, right?
So you know where the new plumbing business is at?
Yes, yes, up off of Scenic.
Right. So if you come like behind his building and out towards First Street, it's that area.
It looks like it was supposed to be apartments.
It's little townhomes.
It looks like that road was supposed to
And
be
then
no, they're houses.
There's that road, they're like townhomes, they're like a two-story deal, but, and it has Constellation, I think the name is
And
that
the only
road.
way to access Margarita Loop is through those apartments, is through
Or-
that little side road.
Or you can take the alley between, just store it, his outside storage and inside storage. There's
Yes,
an
that's the
alley.
only way to access it.
Okay, now I know where you're at.
But it looks like, Margarita Loop to me looks like it should have been part of that apartment complex, and
Yes.
somebody either sold it off or changed their mind. The problem is there's like, what, 20 houses back there or something?
And that's exactly what happened. It was supposed to be a part of that apartment
Right.
complex.
It's a
And
very
then for
narrow street.
Somehow, some way, someone approved of it then turning into these houses. And then I've actually had an airman contact the a JAG officer, and I had a JAG officer that I was going rounds with. We were sending letters back and forth. I'm like, listen, city never accepted this. It was never dedicated to us. We don't accept it.
Well, I had
So
a guy
it
call
was-
that.
It's been fun.
I had a guy call us that he just moved down to help his mother, and she had the house on the very end as you're going up that, I call it an alley, but whatever it is.
It is an alley.
Yeah, and she owns and they'd owned it for 20 years. And there was literally raw sewage coming out of the road in front of their house. There was. And they were like, what are you going to do about it? And Brian and I are standing there and we're like, Brian's like, we don't own the road. We can't do anything about it. And to me, that is like the biggest travesty. That is like shameful that those houses were built back there. Nobody knew it somehow. And it never got hooked up to city water. I can't even, I don't get that.
They're on a well back there?
No, they're on city water,
Okay.
but we don't own the road. We never took possession of the road. So the sewer line running down the middle of the road,
So, has
So-
this gentleman submitted like a plat for the subdivision? I mean, or is he just doing this lot by lot? He'll do one and then move and then buy another one and buy another one?
What do you mean
I mean,
by,
typically, you know, this subdivision was already platted probably prior to it being in the city limits. So it's like where I have my office and shop out there, that was
Right.
platted before the city had it. It was in the county at the time, and there's a lot of issues out there that were created. I don't know, Baxter probably knows about A.G. McMath, it's a mess out there.
Yeah, it is.
But, I mean, does he have a plan? Is he planning on basically developing that whole area?
oh, buying
Eventually
like
buying it?
track 3 and track
Yes.
4 or whatever?
Or is he just
He
gonna-
he has spoken about it and has said, you know, if the opportunity arises, he'd be interested. He was even interested in buying Lot 2A from the city.
Okay.
So before I forget, let me answer your question about the sewer, because according to the plat that was drawn up by Alamotero, there is sewer along the west side on the right-of-way of Holly. So you can see it on,
Far up, Holly?
Because there's a house right behind that property, correct? To the north of those.
there's
a
a
house right there, right?
house, I believe it would be track, I think
Track
it's
2, right?
track 5, and then there's a manufactured home on track 6.
And then his other ones are on track 7 or track 8?
Yes. Yeah, I believe it's track 7,
So
yeah.
what is he doing for sewer on the ones up on track 8?
He connected to city sewer.
So there's a main that runs to this.
So that
Yeah.
runs all the way up, okay.
So you
basically
can
it'll
see it on
be-
the preliminary plat?
So it'll be
that he's
private sewer
proposing?
from the lot to the middle of Holly, and then, so basically it'd be just like a regular tap.
Yeah, and we really have to look at that when he submits
Okay.
plans for further development.
Now,
Yeah, so,
so he's building now, and if for some reason it doesn't get approved, then he's stuck?
so he's building that first set of duplex. So you got to keep in mind that you all approved this to be rezoned to multifamily dwelling
so
district.
he can do a set of.
So he can do
Right.
multiple duplexes in there without subdividing. So he can do that. Now, the connections and all that, we have to look at that very carefully when that time comes. But if you were not to approve this plat, splitting it up, he could still build others on there. And then we would just have to figure out the connections, the roads.
That's the only part I worry about. I don't like that at all.
It's a big risk to go and build without knowing.
And this is where part of the bigger conversation that we had with the TRC committee is like, just because they come in here and ask for a rezoning or replatting, like we need to have the bigger conversations of what's the plan going forward, because that's when we start getting the issues and the threats of the lawsuit, because it passed the zoning, it passed the replat, but then now fire stops it or utilities stops it, and now, you know, it's making, you know, the fire chief look unreasonable or look our utilities being unreasonable. So we're trying to have those big conversations in the very beginning, so that at least if they're aware of the issues that are coming forward, if this gets approved.
Got a quick question. For the ones that are built further north, the existing duplexes he just built, how do we get our fire apparatus down there?
Down Holly.
Okay, so Holly is suitable for the fire to go down. We're just worried about,
No, he says no.
Now, he still has to work on building part of that road. But
What's the issue? Is it just not wide enough?
It's not that it's not wide enough, Commissioner. It's per fire code, the largest and the most heaviest apparatus, that road has to be sustainable to hold that. So right now, it's literally like a dirt road that they put just almost not even base course over. In a heavy rain, if we were to get, or even running it, hypothetically, let's say it going up north on Holly, let's say track 4 as an example, that's going to be those northern units. I'm just using track 4 as an example. So right now, as it sits, there's only one fire hydrant was supposed to be put out almost right out in front of those 2 tracks. That has still never been in place. So in order for us to shuttle water to that, to fight those fires, even the water draining off an apparatus can sink it there because it's not a suitable, stable ground to fight fire. The other concern we had was the driveway getting into there. So the furthest point, meaning to the east, off of Holly, to my right, if I'm standing on Holly looking north, to my furthest right, the furthest tract of that, we don't have enough hose to deploy all the way around to get to the back side of those structures.
Of these new ones?
Of the new ones. Okay. So the conditions were explained to him that those roads need to be paved. We need to have an access, almost like an emergency apparatus access, to be able to get as close as we can so we can set up an aerial device if need to, or actually deploy hand lines by hand or by foot to be able to make it to the furthest point or the furthest corner of that structure.
So there's a house on track 6 and 7, correct? Or 7 and 8?
It's actually, I believe, Commissioner Burnett, I believe it's further up north.
So it might be, the
7
house
and
might
8.
be on 7 and the manufactured home may be on 8.
Yeah, 2409 and 2407.
I think 2409.
2405
I know Holly's been there a long time because I remember when I first started in business, I worked on 2409, that house.
Okay.
The guy's name was Larry. So that road's been there for probably a better part of 30 years. It may have been there longer than that. So that's kind of why I have the questions with that.
And then another issue that we're having too with the same developer is on those tracks up above on the north. We have mentioned to him multiple times that he needs to, not only the fire hydrant situation, but his meters for his water. He has still not yet to complete everything that he was needing to complete based off of the ordinance that was approved last year in June. So everything up there is not even to code or to standard from what we have in our ordinances.
So how did these 2 get approved?
That part I don't know.
The ones on 2405 Holly?
2409 and 2407.
Oh, I don't know. Those have been there way
Yeah,
before
that's
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So there was supposed to be a hydrant up there, close to those 2?
Closer to, Jerry, closer to 2405, right? Is the hydrant you're speaking about?
Because there's a hydrant at the Joy Center,
Correct.
right? And that's the only one.
Correct. There is one
Further up.
but it's probably going to be just past the Lindbergh Avenue, which would be closer to track 3 or 4.
So it's closer to those 2 houses then?
It's still a ways from the.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's one that already
Yes.
up that way. And those other 2 are connected to the city, I'm guessing, so are water?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So our question to the developer during this initial phase, when we first got the plans and the plots, were per
Yeah,
fire code, was
I
to
believe so.
install a suitable road access for fire apparatus access, additional hydrant that's actually close enough for the 2 existing townhomes or subdivisions that are there right now.
At 2405, correct,
Yes.
is what you're saying, okay.
Well, my question is too, why did they get a certificate of occupancy if they're not meeting code standard?
And that's, we've been fighting with that.
Who
for-
gave them a certificate of occupancy?
Certificate of occupancies come from Construction Industries Division for the construction of the buildings.
And there were no
I don't-
signatures from fire that needed to be
They don't have
done
a
prior to
certificate of
that?
occupancy yet.
For the 2405?
Is that the Joy Center?
No, no.
Oh,
no,
I'm sorry,
no.
I'm sorry.
The apartments that he owns further up, yeah.
Those duplexes aren't occupied yet?
They
sorry?
are.
Those duplexes? So if we had an issue, why did we issue a water meter for them and a tap?
Was that a question?
The water, he
Yeah,
said,
that's-
The ones that are going up now are the ones that are already,
The ones that already exist.
How long ago was that?
Those were just built within the last year.
Well, they've
Correct.
been occupied since they were built.
Yeah,
I know.
they're like 9 months maybe?
Yeah, they've been there, what, a
Yeah,
year?
I don't even think it's
Oh,
been
not
a
even
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I personally don't have a problem with the replat here. You know, as far as the fire and stuff goes, it sounds like there's a hydrant pretty close right there. You know, you may have some access getting in there down that 50-foot easement. But if we deny some of this or ask them to improve that road, we're probably going to kill the development out there. Because the expense of paving that road, putting in sidewalks, curb and gutter, you're probably going to want him to upgrade all the sewer and water lanes, and then the deal, he's taking an old platted subdivision and trying to develop it a little at a time. And, you know, maybe we ought to have him look at it, do it in a phased approach, where he can do a little of it at a time or something.
So the biggest thing
where it's-
about the fire hydrants is, in the standards, they have to be 500 feet away from each other, and the 2 fire hydrants that are there are more than 500, so they don't even meet standards right now.
It's an existing condition that was there when he bought it.
But it's not existing if the houses have not been built yet. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to development, right? So on the development side of it, if he's trying to develop his own little subdivision, he still has to apply by standards, even if it is for fire hydrants when it comes to Holly. And that's the whole reason why he's trying to do that private easement, is to avoid all of that. But then he's going to expect the city to come down, and like we said before, we're going to have another issue because now we're having to deal with all these things that are not standard based off of, and even on the ordinances, even in the ordinances, it still states certain things, even meters. The meter count on the top, we've been pushing him to fix it based off the ordinance from last year. He doesn't have a backflow device on it. There's a lot of things that this certain developer still have not yet to comply with, and he is
The meter
wanting.
should have a backflow prevention device built into it.
The what?
The meter has a backflow prevention built into it.
Not on that meter.
Does he have not a standard, regular 3/4, 1-inch meter?
Some of these old meters don't even have it, and that was a meter that was probably
So he
done
was
before
using
the ordinances.
He was using an existing water meter that was already there prior to him buying it.
Right, but
Right.
according to the ordinances that you guys approved of last year in June, and that, just mind you guys on the record, it was a 7-0 vote. If any new building or anything that is done on a property that's new after the ordinances was approved, they still have to go back and put a backflow preventer regardless of if they had it prior before. So because he was, even
On a
though it was there
residential
before,
On a residential structure?
yes, residential and commercial, it's in the ordinances from June of last year, and that was approved. So that part, it shows that, you know, like, for example, if I owned a building, a house, and I want to add something on there, if I don't have a backflow, I have to put one in now. And that was part of the ordinances.
I have a little bit of an issue with that because I know right now the contractors are in a big fight with the city on that because, but we won't get into that. But I personally don't have a problem with the replat because we get the development. But it sounds like it's an older subdivision, things weren't completely done correctly, but I don't want to see the development killed.
Right, and that's why
You know,
we did try to work with at least trying to get post, you know, at least try to give that easement back to what it was originally.
So is Holly Avenue standard for you to drive your truck down right now?
The width is,
The width?
the road condition.
So who's responsible for doing the whole Holly?
So that was asked on that contractor, even at the very first phase of it, was if he was going to build those 2 subdivisions back there, he had to meet the fire code for the largest apparatus to be accessible. And that's why we asked, because of the distance of that secondary hydrant that's to the north, we asked for another hydrant to be placed out closest to those 2 existing townhomes.
So from Wright Road, beginning on Wright Road up Holly, he would have to fix all of that up to his drive?
Correct.
Who
Because
owns Holly Road?
that's,
I think you might be misunderstanding. He's asking who's responsible for the development
So
of
Stella-
Holly from right all the way up to where he first
Stella,
built.
wasn't this it was an original subdivision that should have had the roads
Yes.
It should have been done by the original developer.
But it
he
was
didn't-
never.
It never got done.
It never-
And then, so now it's getting pieced out. So now, and it's unfortunate that these developers are the ones that are suffering. That's why we're trying to hold the current developers to building the roads to the future, to make sure that this doesn't continue to happen. But that's why this issue exists, is because the original developer of that whole subdivision never put those roads in and then started piecing it out.
Okay.
I want to say one thing for the record. I just want to be clear. I know that Justin has mentioned a couple of times that this 50-foot right-of-way easement through his property that he's requesting, or that he's suggesting that he'll do that to keep from meeting technical standards. For the record, I asked him for that easement because there was no other way to the rear of that property since post does not exist. So I just want to make sure that that's understood, that it's not because he's trying to stay away from the technical standards. I required that in this plat.
So technically, he can build irregardless of whether can he
Yes.
still build all four of them?
He
Is
can,
it zoned, what is it
he
zoned
can
right
build
now?
an apartment complex there. I mean, grant you, he would have to go through
It's R4,
TRC.
Commissioner.
It's R4?
R4.
R4,
Yeah,
okay.
he could, of course, his plans would have to come through TRC and fire and utilities, and everybody would have to look at it and approve those plans. But because it's an R4, yes. It doesn't have to be split in lots, separate lots. But like I've mentioned multiple times now, I requested approval of the preliminary plat because for that portion of this, he meets all the requirements.
Right.
And I can't recommend denial on what ifs,
No, I get it.
you know?
I agree.
So my job is to,
One more quick question, this is probably for Jerry, but out there where I have my office, and I'm just using this as a comparison, Black Street, which is in the front of my office out there, is a dirt road. Does that meet the qualifications for the heaviest apparatus that we have?
So the dirt road that you have on there, what is it lined with? It's got
It's dirt.
some sort of,
It's
I
just
think
gravel?
a little base course.
It's just base course and gravel.
so
It was chip sealed at one time, way back in the day, and I don't know when it got removed. But currently it's just a base course, and every now, I don't remember the blade operator's name that comes out there with his dump truck and his blade, and he'll come dump a couple loads of gravel and do it, but does that road meet the criteria?
So technically, no, it does not, but I know you have close hydrants to your building there that are less than
Yeah.
500 feet.
There's one right across
access.
the street, I believe, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the biggest issue, is the hydrant distance more than.
Hydrant distance, but then again, access to it because of the road condition. It is literally dirt right now. So if we get in there and it's just a rainy day, we sink in it, how are we
You're
going
gonna
to
get
get it in?
stuck.
We're going to get stuck.
and I'm sorry, maybe I'm lost, but are we now talking about 2405 or 2595? The hydrants at which location?
That's what I was thinking, is Lot 1A is within the range of the fire hydrants, right?
Which is closest to the Joyce Center?
2405, which is the furthest one, may not be, but this one is within the 500
So
feet.
the hydrant that's closest to the Joy Center.
Yes, but then
Yes.
there's another one down the road a little
Right.
ways, right?
So those, for these existing plots, will meet that. However, the way that they're designed, we have to have access to be able to get around the backside. Because if not, we're going to run into the same scenario that on the two that are already existing.
Okay.
But tonight, we're only talking
Yes,
about the replat.
1A, about the replat.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we got a little off topic.
How
Yeah, I know, I got lost for a minute.
big of a hurry is he in to get it replatted?
He's he's pretty rushed. Yeah, his lenders are on his back. So he's in a hurry.
2 weeks kill him?
I can't answer for him.
So this was supposed to be last week. or last
Last-
meeting.
So it's supposed
I
last
pulled it off.
meeting.
I pulled it off because of the issues that we're having, knowing what it's going to be, right? And so he got pretty upset with me pulling it off so we could have the other discussion. So Stella put it on the meeting for y'all to at least discuss it this time around.
So if we kicked it down the road 2 weeks, we'd probably have an irritated developer. Okay.
I would say yes.
I mean, we're just voting on a replat, we're not voting on.
But there again, we can replat it, but if it gets held up in TRC for 6 months, we're going to be getting involved in it as well.
Right, except that if he does it right, we won't have a problem.
But
Just,
my idea right, your idea right, and their idea right are all three different things.
well, my
And
idea
then
of
there's
right
technical
is
standards
Yes.
that are right.
that we passed.
Well, I was out there, and when I was out there, it's just it's a straight line. You can't go behind any of those houses at all.
No.
Because it is just, it's just,
Right now, all you have access in that area is Holly Avenue.
Right.
From north to south. Even municipal at the top of Holly Avenue, that was supposed to be developed by the original developer, never got done.
that's right.
So nothing ever got done by the original developer. So now that's why we're in the situation we're in today.
Say, I don't personally have a problem with the replat. I guess y'all just have to hash out the details on that other.
How long ago was that, Stella?
What,
The original developer?
Like back in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, it's,
Being it says it's a military one, right?
yeah, probably.
So we can't pull it
Like
up on the
50s.
computer, darn it. Okay, all right.
Probably, I mean, I could look back and
kidding.
see.
I was kidding.
But
It's okay.
I can't pull up anything going up. I was in my office maybe. But at one point, well, the first replat was done in 1998.
When
And
was
then the second
original-
one was 2002.
When was the original plat?
I can't,
Answer that.
I can't,
Baxter, no?
The original government number 2 subdivision?
that was in the 50s. Yeah.
1950s.
I can't be
Great
exact on the year, but it was in the 50s, yeah.
And it more than likely wasn't in the city limits when it was originally platted.
When it,
What was that, 75 years ago or something?
Look into-
yeah,
okay.
I don't want to,
Those properties out there will have that issue.
yeah.
So do we want to, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a
on-
motion to approve item.
Before we vote, I just need to abstain because he is a client of one of my brokers that I supervise.
Okay. So I have a motion from Commissioner Burnett. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Commissioner Reardon. Can we put up the vote, please?
Thank you, I know that was a tough one.
I was
We're having a hard time too.
just trying to separate.
Commissioner Robinson?
It's not coming up on my screen, I vote in the
Okay,
affirmative.
No, go to your internet. Go to your internet. Yeah. Oh, no.
I vote in the affirmative.
Very
I'm sorry.
strange.
Can you say that again?
I vote in the affirmative. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, motion passes 5-1 with one abstention. We're going to move on to item 9. Oops, sorry. Okay. Consider and act upon Resolution 2025-17 requesting interim approval from the Local Government Division of the Department of Finance and Administration, State of New Mexico, to adopt a preliminary 2025-2026 budget as of May 27, 2025.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, so I am here to.
I think we need to take a break. We lost 2 commissioners.
That's okay.
apparently.
You heard budget and you're like, ugh.
Right, they're fine.
I mean, okay.
That's fine.
I'm
We can wait.
Take a break.
sorry, I don't,
Fine.
it's going to take like 2 seconds to, well, first of all, we didn't need to do that. And second of all, here they come. So.
Guys talk too much. You guys waiting on us?
Yeah, because it's, talking about the budget is probably going to take 5 seconds, and I didn't want to vote without you, so I was trying to be respectful.
I hit the wrong.
I'll let Tim work his magic. No pressure, Tim.
He lost
Just
his
counting down.
screen. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Is this just the carryovers and all that kind of stuff?
Not yet. This is the preliminary budget.
I think you can probably go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the preliminary budget that we discussed in the budget hearings a couple weeks ago. This is the approval of the resolution so that I can submit it to DFA by May 31st. So only small changes in between then and now. One of the ones I want to highlight is the change in the law enforcement fund, the LEPF Fund 36. When we presented that to you all, we had an estimation of $170,000. Since then, DFA has come back and given us the actual number, which is $167,000. So we changed that. We made the corrections in Fund 81 for the utility maintenance salaries that weren't showing up on the report that we submitted to you guys during the budget hearings. So we corrected those, added those. We made the corrections to the rec center salaries and benefits that Commissioner Rare and you had noticed, or the workers' comp was really, really high. We
Is
went
that just a
and
typo or?
it was a typo on one, and then the lifeguards fall into a different category. So they actually have a really high workers' comp. But we did fix the projections on the youth assistants, the 5 positions, those were incorrect. Those were at the too high of rate.
Just for, what is the percentage of comp on a lifeguard? Is that considered a fairly hazardous job? Or?
It is. It's considered a fairly hazardous job. So even for the seasonals, we project that they get like $3,000 for their season in workers' comp because it's considered hazard.
Okay.
Versus like an office clerical job will only be $1,000 for an entire year.
So, do they do it like in ours? It's percentages. I'm sorry, but it's a percentage of your payroll. Is that how y'all's works?
It's not a percentage of the payroll, it's a percentage of the payroll for the specific job type. And there's 35 different job types that fall in the different classifications. Like obviously the police.
Police is going to be up there, yeah.
Police, fire, huge. Clerical is really, really small.
Because ours is similar. You know,
Yeah.
Roofers are 54%,
Yeah.
and picking up trash is only like 7%.
Yeah.
So.
So they give us, and then that's also multiplied by a modified rate,
Yes.
which is dependent on our accident rate, which unfortunately, our mod rate is very high and will be very high for a couple of years because we've had an officer killed recently, and that affects our mod rate.
Cool, thank you.
So that was the biggest change. Other than that, we made a couple of small changes, but those 3 were the 3 that I wanted to highlight. So looking at the recap that we provided, as you can see, everything is either at a 0 cash balance or higher than 0 cash balance per general accepted accounting principles. And we're leaving us with about $1 million in unrestricted cash in the general fund. This does not have any changes for dispatch. This still has $900,000 budgeted for dispatch. So when we bring you the final budget before July 31st, you're going to see a big change there because then we will have our operating budget for dispatch, our capital outlay that we're going to need to stand the center back up. So there will be a significant change there. more than just what we usually bring, which is the carryovers and the cash balances.
Do you have a guesstimate of what that number will be?
Not right now.
Can we take wagers on it?
Well, let's see, yes,
think
because then I can control it, so. So go low.
I'm thinking somewhere around $2 million myself, honestly, but.
Preliminarily, right now, we've
Between
been
2 and 2.5.
playing with 1.5.
1.5.
Is what we've been playing with, but there's still a lot of unknown factors that we're working on.
And it's going to be one-time cost versus recurring costs.
True.
So that's,
And then I had one more quick question in budget, and I'm gonna pick on the attorney's office, the legal in the contracts, the 300,000 that we had, originally we only had 40 to 60,000 a year in contracts. What all, and you may have, I don't remember in budget hearings if you disclosed what it was, but what are we intending to spend 300,000 on in contracts?
We did it mostly on a contingency basis. We have the municipal court prosecution contract that we've had for many years now. That one's $65,000 to $75,000 depending on where it falls. And then we're planning, it's really truly contingency of that. We have these situations that keep arising. We're keeping to having move money around and
We have
pay
an
it. So
unemployment attorney.
so we have attorneys at 60,000 that's on a contingency basis. Like we have Dina, we have Gino, we have,
So that's employment law, municipal law, airport law,
or we have the
tax law.
Blackburn, we have, I just lost his name.
The water, don't we have a water?
Water we've always.
Water's off of
water's paid out of
81.
water, though.
81.
Oh, right.
Mario
Right.
Torres for
Conflict prosecution.
conflict prosecution. So that's what they are. We have several attorneys that we have on the books for when we need them. Like,
So we may or may not spend that much.
Correct. We just calculated for the total of their contracts, because their totals are 60,000. That's the most we could do for a professional. So I liked to err on the side of caution, because one time we didn't budget for Dina's for 60,000, and we came pretty dang close because we had the parks issue and a couple other issues that we had to hire her for. And so that's why you saw the big increase, is because we decided this year, I'm going to calculate in case we had to somehow spend all that, we would have it.
We have 5 outside attorneys at $60,000 apiece,
that sounds right.
plus or minus.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a little bit of contingency built in there, too.
And a little bit of contingency. All right, just was wondering.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve item 9?
So moved.
A motion from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Robinson. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 7-0. We're going to move on to item 10. Consider and act upon Resolution 2025-18, giving notice to the Otero County Clerk of the local government positions to be filled at the next regular local election on November 4th, 2025.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, as stated, this is a resolution just giving notice to the county clerk, since we did opt into the regular local election since 2019. And so the open positions are going to be the mayor at large for a 4-year term, District 2 Commissioner for a 4-year term, District 4 Commissioner for a 4-year term, the municipal judge at large for a 4-year term. We also have the city commission seat for District 1 that shall be on the ballot to complete the original 4-year term. So the District 1 commissioner will be for a 2-year term. And I just want to add that the filing candidate day is only one day. That's August 26th from 9 to 5. That's going to be with the county clerk. That's right across the zoo, right next to Wells Fargo. I do want to note that to be a candidate, a person must be registered to vote in the district if you are not at large. In the district, on the date the proclamation calling the local election is filled in the office of the Secretary of State, that date is August 6th. So if you've changed residency and now you live in a different district and you're wanting to run, make sure that your address is correct. After that date, you won't be able to run. There is the write-in candidate day. That's going to be a week later. That's September 2nd. But however, we encourage those that want to run that you do so on that candidate filing day. And then the deadline for the county clerk to certify the candidates to be placed on the ballot is September 5th.
City Clerk, this is for the actual election of the candidates, but say we wanted to, if we had a question that needed to go on the ballot for certain things, will we have to do one of these for that as well, or is this?
So it says, so the election calendar reads prior to the 70th day, so that's going to be August 25th. The municipality must adopt an ordinance or resolution to be established as a ballot question. So in order to see those, the questions, the GRT, bond, liquor, we have to look at those state statutes, but that deadline is August 25th.
Okay, so we would have to have something approved by August 25th in order
Prior,
to be
that's,
on the
yes.
November ballot.
And we have to get that to the county clerk prior to that,
Okay,
yes.
so it doesn't necessarily need to be done with this.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Do I have a motion to approve item 10?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Burnett. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 7-0. We will move on to item 11, appointments to boards and committees. I believe I just have one. There's an upcoming vacancy due to the expiring term of John Davis on June 13, 2025. A new application by John Davis was received. If reappointed, this would be his second term on the Alamogordo Public Library Board. Nobody has any objections? I don't see people beating down the door to apply, so I will.
We haven't seen him in the meetings here lately.
What's that?
So we haven't seen him in the meetings in a while.
Yeah, but I've seen him walking down the road.
Have
He's
you?
there. What? I have. Anyway,
He's the guy with the pigeons, right?
the guy with the what?
He's the one that was the pigeons.
He is, in fact, the pigeon man, yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
It's a neat guy.
I thought about him when we were working on our house next door to ours because there were pigeons flying out everywhere. I thought of Mr. Davis. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and appoint him to that position. There are still 2 current vacancies for county-appointed representatives for the library. They do have to be, they have to live obviously in Otero County, but not within Alamogordo city limits. And they must be appointed by the chairman of the county, or in this case, chairwoman of the County Board of Commissioners. So I will shoot her an email and make sure that she is aware of that, and maybe we can get some county representation for the library, because I know that they do utilize that quite often. We do have a current vacancy on the Airport Zoning Board as well. That is for applicants who do live within the city limits. And the Senior Volunteer Programs Advisory Council has 3 current vacancies for applicants that live within the city limits. So if anybody is interested in those, maybe we could put something out on social media, just a little announcement or something. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn into executive closed session in compliance with 10-15-1 as amended to discuss pending litigation, all current litigation? We do have Clint Nicely here. He's the Risk Services Director and from the New Mexico Self-Insurers Fund. and he is going to update us on that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Robinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald. Can we put up the vote, please? Ooh, you are on top of that one. Okay. And motion passes 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.